1980 when hip hop began. Right here in Ohio, in the city of sin. Sugar Daddy on 88, let the record spin. With Grandpa and Baby Hawk and a couple of friends. Merging funk to rap for the Pulse Day blends. At the same time, Dr. Ice loved to rock as they battled on air for hip hop's top spot. Rappers the light drop like 2 years prior. Supersonic's here had the city on fire. Banging on his chest, freestyling in a cypher. PC and Johnny for mag and got hyper. Squad was killing road parties just like a sniper. Icy Deacon, DJ Fresh rocking on the fader. Woodward had Ernie P, the disco revelator. With his chest percussion taxing all perpetrators. Advanced innovators at dance, took a chance. And within a matter of time, the culture expands. P Fresh, Skywalkers, Ticketron, Tick Dizzle. Body snatchers, Queen City rockers, fuck with them. DJ Hollywood supplying the rhythm. One love to my main man, DJ Wisdom. It's like that, y'all.
We will be here forever. Do you understand? Forever. Forever and ever.
Just something that's on the mind.
Among the 50 states, there was one state that is declared the heart of it all, Ohio. And at the bottom of that state is Cincinnati. Ohio was the entry for freedom for the slaves, a gateway to hope, a new life, and it's the home of the funk. Cincinnati was once a cornerstone to the music industry. Billboard magazine had its start here. James Brown recorded classic breaks that rappers often use here on King's Records. The Queen City, Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Cincinnati. Do you understand? Forever.
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Peace, Samsung Zulu, Universal Zulu Nation.
And I'm Ass Rock, Urban Reality.
Yeah, in this documentary, we hope to uncover some people, some places, some things, sharing the involvement of hip-hop culture in the community throughout the whole tri-state area.
And the journey that some of us brothers have taken.
Particularly showing you the foundation here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Yeah.
MCs,
Yeah.
DJs, floor rockers, graph writers, as you can tell.
Exactly.
We're going to do our best within this series to provide you every aspect that you need.
Right here.
Spot. I mean, they had a show, the talent show.
Yeah.
You had a stage set up right here. And, and actually, I wasn't even living in Avondale then. I was coming from Barn Hill. You know what I mean? I started with the Barn Hill crew. You dig? So we came over here, we performed. It was a sea of people, man. And every time it was my turn, anticipated that I was coming up next, the crowd would go like, yeah, they was ready for me. You know what I'm saying? So that's when I knew at that point in time, like, this.
But now, how the group came together, cause it's some misconceptions and everybody want to know. Well, Danny O, my cousin, and he became a member, but we was doing this singing thing on my grandmother's house.
Yes.
You know, we trying to do our dance steps. We trying to be the Jackson 5. We singing, we writing songs. All our kin folks telling us we can sing. But then when you get out here with some real talent managers, they're like, y'all ain't got it.
I ain't got it.
So that's when we really try to turn to this rap thing. Now Ed, my homeboy from across the street, he the one kind of threw us all together. So we at this carnival in Avondale. It's my brother, Ed, and Ernie P. He a legendary rapper.
My man,
from Rick Row and what was the Jam On It production?
He expressed that he was kind of getting down with the Barn Hill.
I mean, he was, because he was showing me the ropes. At the time, they didn't even let me go on because I wasn't ready yet. But they was like, man, you just got to work on it and get your act together. Instead of taking a sour note, like, man, forget y'all cats. I was happy, like, I'm going to go home. I'm going to work on my craft. And then when, like, the next show come up, maybe I'll be in it. But him and Ernie P rocked it at Avondale.
When the town center first opened.
It was a little carnival over there. And then when I seen how people took to that, you know, not really knowing about the whole hip hop culture, I'm just knowing about Cincinnati.
Turns out, this is actually, emu guts, Sony guts. This is emu guts inside of this Baldwin piano.
Baldwin piano. And so what is the name of that Baldwin piano?
Ike.
Ike, the Baldwin.
And they're rare, wouldn't even come close to describing it. Rare because they didn't make very many of them, but when you find one, they're only like $200. So it's not like it's a $20,000 keyboard. It's just they only made them for like 6 months, and I got lucky. And
how expensive was that keyboard when they were on the market?
About $200.
$200? Are you serious?
Maybe 3.
Why did?
Our memories of hip hop in Cincinnati, listening to Sugar Daddy, Grandpa, and Baby Hawk on the radio, going to the Fresh Fest and the Scribble Jam. That's what's up.
We are at Woodward Career Techno High School where everything went down. MCs, DJs, everybody went here.
Well, back in the day, you had one place where people went and got their music, and it was called a one-stop. Basically, you could go in, and it was one-stop shopping. You can get your CDs, cassettes, your vinyl, singles, whatever. If it was on that Billboard chart, you could get it. You know what I mean? And that's what they One Stop had. So basically, what I started doing is people wanted stuff that wasn't on that Billboard chart. So I said, man, how can we sell this black music? I took it upon myself to help move that stuff off the shelf. I figured when I went there, it was only white people that worked there. I was the first black person. Well, Claude was there, but Claude wasn't really into this kind of music. So I went in there and I said, just talking to myself, I'm going to take this music that I'm listening to, and I tell you who the first person was, Twista. Wow. I told him, I said, Reginald McKinley called me, and I said, if y'all send me some of those singles on Twista for promo, I'll put them in every store that blasts black music. I'll put those singles in there, and they can play it over their speakers, because like Anthony C., there were several stores around the whole Midwest that had speakers outside. You understand? So if you playing something good outside, I know these people gonna come in there and buy it. So I remember a guy in the back of receiving, Mike McMillan, he came to me, he said, Judy, these guys sent something in this box and it says for you. He said, now what is you doing over here pimping? It's $100 bill in here. I started laughing. I said, who put that in there? He told me Twista in there. I called him back. I said, hey, what you put this 100 in there for? He said, well, we just want to pay you for your services. I was like,
Street Team was born.
You already know.
Street Team was born at that moment, so.
And that's what
your scribes are your teachers. So the people who write are the ones that preserve it for the community. And so
I'm glad you said that.
For you to know that we existed, it took you.
That's right.
And what we're doing right now is preserving this through videos.
That's right. Next generation is going to see this.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
So come on, keep dropping the jewels on us.
And so basically, I was writing and cutting and pasting old school. And I gave it to Butch Gibson. I said, check this out. And then like that week, he had a computer, because I didn't even have a computer. This was like 92, summer 92. Then he's like, well, Greg, this is it. So he made my masthead, because I had drew some stuff, you know what I'm saying, fake graffiti. No, I'm joking. I had drew some stuff, talking about the diamond. And Butch get this. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Butch made this masthead.
Oh, that is dope.
You know, so we started cutting and pasting. Salute to Butch Gibson, man.
Dope.
And
like, I never thought you could be a kid and come up with your own publication, but he had the tenacity and the foresight back then. Like, let's actually fill a need. There's a void here, so let's fill that void with something. And so I think maybe I probably wrote for him like 3 years or something, and I still didn't see myself as a journalist. And I think that maybe looking back, he probably was the first person that really even made me think of myself in that way.
Watching my peers, DJ, Hank, Baby Room, AJ, all the guys, Chili C, he was at different. When I started, I was going to team parties.
All right.
Yeah, and how it all started, my mom, rest her soul, listened to all my racket back then.
All right, yeah.
I started out with my parents' component set.
All right, yeah.
And my first house party, you know, I love music.
Yeah.
Me being the only child in the neighborhood, everybody would be at my house.
All right.
You know, I'm an entertainer, you know, I do stuff.
Yeah.
Through my first party, I didn't have enough speakers.
Right.
So I ended up borrowing everybody's speakers in the neighborhood. Friends' parents' speakers, their components. Daisy chained them, blew them all on the one party. So my mom had to replace everybody's speakers.
Time where just the creative freedom and if there is anything to pull from anything that I ever say in life, it is just that you can just get up and do it. Whatever it is, if you got cool gumption, some sort of resources and just the time to just try to make it happen, I believe you can do it. And it just like the double Dutch bus, that whole little thing that looked just like that briefcase I made. The double Dutch bus is the same kind of concept. All I had was some masking tape, and I spelled out on the side of the bus, double Dutch bus, and on the other side I put Butch Gibson Productions, and I just stuffed some speakers in.
But yeah, man, it's just every time when we used to run through Cincinnati or in the red areas of Cincinnati, Cleveland, all that kind of stuff. Whenever we were close, we would always link up. Whenever we were close.
That's love. Yeah.
Just love, man. You got to know that he and my group were buddies. So that just said that was the way we made at the time. But yeah, it was around here, we got to with Lil Jeff with a little part in the thing. But we did that little beatbox gimmick with his chest.
Yeah.
He did his rap. We thought that was kind of different. So we would say, yo, yeah, come on, man. Come on, take and do that. It became our little tradition that we did every time we sit down, man.
So a lot of them shows y'all was rocking was 10,000 deep or even better in some cases. Like he was maintaining the party with that deep of a show.
Oh, yeah, man. That's it.
Yeah.
And the girlies liked them.
Word.
You know what I'm saying? And the girlies liked them. So it was really a plus. Because you know what I'm saying? Houdini was all about the ladies.
Indeed.
So often we acknowledge New York and its contributions to hip hop. And as we should, it was started there and nurtured there by Herc, Bam, Flash, and a host of others. But here in Cincinnati, there were a few that gave me the love for the culture. Sugar Daddy, Baby Hawk, Butch Gibson, ITV, the Common Hitek Crew, and Supersonic Sid, just to name a few. But here's a little story that must be told.
And so the first factual statement, if you're talking about Cincinnati Hip Hop and the way it is, and I'm gonna say it just like this: I started this shit. I did. If somebody else tell you somebody else did, then they lied to you. In Cincinnati, Ohio. If they go all the way back and they do their facts.
All right.
So we'll just kick that off with that. Now I know there's a lot of guys that came after me. Some of them say, "Man, I don't even. I ain't never even met that dude. Who is that dude?" Right.
All right.
And I'll say like the great Rudy Ray Moore say, "I was through with it before y'all learned what to do with it." And I had to move on to another career. But yeah, we kicked it off and started in 1980. 10, 11-year-old kid.
Whoa.
Sugar Daddy challenged me to a battle. Hip hop versus the funk. Which they went together. I don't know how we were going to do this, but he was saying we wasn't done. Hip hop wasn't going to last for the time. And we'll let the audience judge. So now I'm in his territory. This boy, everybody loved him. The whole Cincinnati loved him. Baby Hog, all the rest of the crew. And he came in full attire. He had his cape on. He was older too, so he had a crowd. It was, and if you've been in the old 88.3, you know it's a studio over here, and in the middle it's just room, a big room. So everybody getting lit, blazed up. Older cats too, you know, just doing what they do. And that's what I'm saying. It was a party, a big party, and we on the air live. So he opened up a studio A and B. He was in one room, and I was in the next room. And he would play some, and I would play some. We'd let people call in and what they thought. and I felt like I won. You know, I was killing them. I had a nice mix with my little brother. So the hip hop heads was on this side, said yeah. All the funk heads and the older heads was like, that's jump. You know, he felt like he won, but I won for real. But nevertheless, he embraced me after that, and that's when the first time he taught me that you don't need to be buying your records. You work with a radio station, and he taught me, that they give you, free goods, and they want this stuff played. So he taught me a lot of stuff, embraced me after that.
11-year-old kid, youngest kid on the radio in Cincinnati, Ohio.
You was on the radio.
On the radio, man.
11.
Before my voice changed, man, when I used to sound like a little kid. People used to call in the radio station, they tell that little girl, play the records again.
Word.
Before my voice changed.
Yeah.
But it was the Dramatics drum machine rolling. And if I wish I kept it, because that stuff is worth a lot of money right now. That's probably one of the few pieces I didn't keep, but it was the Dramatics drum machine, so I started doing my own beats on that. And
was that predated to the TR, or was that after the TR?
No, that was one of the TRs. That was one of the, that was before the 808. It was a TR 303, I think, but because they had a drum machine, it was a silver box. Yeah. And then they had the bass, the keyboard accompanying. I didn't need the bass thing, but the drum machine, you just push down the buttons.
Make the bass, the subs, and all of that.
So that was my little, and then you hit play and just watch the LEDs go by and
get where you wanted it.
And so that was my first introduction to drum machines and beat making. And then my dad bought me a Moog synthesizer when Radio Shack was still selling.
At the legendary Wentwood School, the home of a few legendary staples in the hip hop community here. Word.
Ed Goins. At Buddy Rogers Music. And I had all this car stereo because I was into car stereo. Yeah. I was able to go up there and trade in car stereo because he kind of talked to me about my goal was that mixer. Yeah. Like I talked about the Malcolm McCann, the GLI. They didn't have GLI, they had Newmark. It was like Newmark 1650, whatever the lowest thing was. And I went up there and I talked to Ed Goins. I had all this sound equipment. I had all the car stereo equipment. And I wound up trading some car stereo equipment in exchange for a Newmark mixer. Because he talked me out of going to Radio Shack. He's like, well, when you go, you do your gig, what do you want to say? You using Radio Shack stuff, or you got professional Newmark stuff? And I was like, okay.
At the time, Maurice had introduced me to my new voice. All right. At the time I was recording those commercials, all right, yeah, I knew that was it, right? That was it, right there. And I'll tell you, I've never told anybody about this, but whenever I would see a microphone and literally touch the microphone, I mean, my whole body just went numb. I can't explain. I've never had anything give me that feeling right to this day. For what you do. And I'm not trying to sound melodramatic. You hear people talk about, why they do what they do. I mean, literally, man, I would touch a microphone and just the inside of my body would just shake. Wow. And then the supersonic seed would come out, the excitement from that and the feeling good. I think that has everything to do with the reason why I never did drugs, never drank, never smoked. I'm like, man, if I felt that good with that microphone in my hand, it was unbelievable. That feeling, man, it was just unbelievable. I remember the feeling, but
you know how you open up Christmas gifts? Mm-hmm. We had a mic and a little stereo system, and you had your cassettes, your Walkmans, and so me and my brother was like, man, how can we get famous, get some pub without stealing, robbing, fighting? We look too good for that. Just keep it real. Just keep it positive. We don't want our face all beat up, nothing. And so we came up with the first song. What was it?
Good times.
Good times.
Like good times. Let me hit the runs. Back then you had to have it right.
Good times. You had to hit it right. Yeah.
You had to have the credit.
This was back in the day.
We the big boys. We had motherfucking my brother Lazarus would go buy a Adidas sweatsuit. And then I had George from Mayweather Leather. he can make anything, so I have him make me some shit just like the New York shit.
Yeah, yeah.
So when I go to the concert, the niggas that's with the niggas like, is you okay? Yeah. So I was on their level with them niggas.
Cincinnati style Dapper Dan shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
Yeah, they respect me. So I was taking my Dapper Dan ideas and have George because I couldn't go to New York all the time.
You was still putting that shit on Coogis before Coogis on Converse right before they closed.
He was cold, that shit. I'm mad he closed. Me too. He was closed. I'm mad at him. Yeah. I'm still looking for him. Too anybody know what George
Remember as a youth, disco was everywhere until the new heartbeat of the streets took over. Radio was all we had to connect the world state to state. There was no internet, and a few cats took the controls of the radio to keep us plugged in. Yeah. So right now, as we get deeper and deeper into this documentary, we want to kind of share with you some places and popular landmarks. You were a DJ, you was doing your thing. Where did you get your turntables from?
George, you come down here, you holler at Steve. Roughly, you probably give him $1,100, $1,200. You can walk on up out of there with your pair and a mixer.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? He probably even give you your first 2 pair of records where you can get your little jiggers on.
Look. 88.3 serves over the airways to responsible points of view.
All right. Divergent points of view.
Views expressed during this program do not reflect the views of WAIF or trustees. The views expressed during this express the views of me, my guest, or my colleague. Whether live or pre-recorded.
Y'all don't know nothing about that.
So what was the first record that you had the opportunity to?
The first rap record that I ever spent on the radio at WAIF FM 88.3. We were at the corner of Victory Parkway in Cincinnati, corner of Victory Parkway and William Hyatt Taft. Lord, I spent a lot of my life there. In the bottom, that basement of Hans Hotel was Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five's Freedom. Freedom, you know what I mean?
So what year did that come out? Do you kind of
Freedom came out like in 1980.
All right.
But when I found it, and so I started apprenticing. Let me say this: I started apprenticing under the great Mr. Tom Knox, who was a black man here in Cincinnati. He was a legendary DJ who had worked at the radio stations, WCIN, and helped the Wood family build WEBN. I know you guys heard that. It's a big rock station here, and WWEZ, which was an easy listening station back in the day. So anyway, Mr. Knox taught me the proper way to do it. Then I bumped into a guy by the name of the Honey Dripper.
Oh, legendary.
The Honey Dripper, who became like my stepfather, my surrogate father in the music business at that time. The Honey Dripper threw the rule book away. Right? But me being a kid, Honey Dripper was way more exciting than what they was teaching me at school, at radio school. Mr. Knox, Mr. Knox like, do you read this book and you do it this way? Honey Dripper like, no, dog. You take that record, you spin it back like that and say, baby, bring me a fish plate from out. Bring me a fish plate. Back then it was Heavy's. Bring me a fish plate from Heavy's. Somebody bring me some hot sauce on it.
How did I get started in radio? Well, that was many years ago, back in the 80s. I used to hang out at 88.3 with Grandpa and Sweet G. He used to let me hang out with him, answer the phones and everything. At that time, I was still in high school. But later on, as the years went by, I went to one of the Fresh Fests. That's when I caught up with cool DJ Red Alert. Uncle Red gave me his number to the station in New York. We talked, we kept in touch, but I all of a sudden developed this desire to want to really get into radio. Well, one fine day, I called The Wiz. And that's when I got in touch with one of the DJs that was there, Brian Scott. We hung out, talked about radio and everything, got a demo together for him, submitted it into the station. First time, it was decline, wasn't happening. So then a new program director came in on the scene. Another demo was submitted. It hit. So next thing you know, I was there having my own show and everything. The rest was history. That's how it all happened.
All right, we stand in front of the legendary Hughes High School, where a lot of foundational things took place. Naming off Doug Emprey with Urban Reality.
I was in Evanston. I would walk. I would walk.
How was y'all getting that final
bus?
I would carry it to school with me because I had to be made
the number 11 bus came right there.
You had a case full of vinyl, knowing you was about to go rock the radio. Right. And then turn around, 5 o'clock comes, we gotta be in school by 8. Right. So did the buses run? Yeah. You go right there to Victory Parkway and East McMillan. Wait on the bus. Come on, man. 31, 69, 11.
Listen, we were smart. Listen, we would meet because the buses started running at 1 o'clock. The show started at 2.
We started 95, 96 doing the radio shows. And it kind of put us on as a trial test in the middle of the day. I'll actually leave my job at Cincinnati Bill, get down there and we did an hour and a half, 2-hour show. And we promoted it.
You left your paying gig to go do something free for the culture.
Absolutely. For 2
Message. June drop.
Right.
Yeah.
Look, for the love for the culture.
Yeah.
So we would go down there. Divs did all the had our show pretty much. We didn't have enough time to do it live. We got to the live shows later.
All right.
Everything was. I had my music beds and when to talk, what to talk about. I mean, I came up with all of that.
Yeah.
But everything was crafted out. Scratching, instrumentals, everything was laid out.
Let's go.
And we promoted it very heavily. Put a lot of flyers out about it. So we would literally, I had connections for artists coming in town. We deal with the record pool. We get free ticket giveaways. We got promo T-shirts to give away. So we literally would have to take the phone off the hook. Like, we're gonna take the 10th caller, and the phone would be blowing up. And we just started this show like it was a month later. That's when they said they couldn't deny what we was bringing to the table. So they said we're gonna give you a permanent show. First we started, I think it was Wednesday night. Then we got the real night slot was Friday night, 1 to 4. So we had that, and I had another show.
Well, I started the Wiz at 87.
Yeah.
Got fired. Went to 88. So 88 through 94, I was at 88.3. 1988 through 1994, I was at 88.3. They finally let me talk and use my real name after the second time.
Yeah.
Because I had been so I went to 88. 88 was a wonderful experience, and I made my first project on that Portal Studio One. We called it the 1988-1989 audio collage. It was a mixtape that I put together on that Portal Studio One, and my thing was I was doing battle with commercial radio because I still disagree with what happens on commercial radio. I think it is it's just like a puppet show, and I think it hurts my heart when they open the mic and they talk and they don't talk about anything. It's all like entertainment news and all this other stuff. I believe that radio should be like
what it used to
magic. I don't even know if I would say what it used to be, or like WAIF, what it is meant to be. But I feel like you should be able to take college courses, listen to the radio, and have some knowledge come to you. But anyway, so when I went back to, after I had been at 88 for 6 years, and I'm out there fighting what I thought was the good fight and putting what I thought was quality content on the airwaves, and I got hired back at the Wiz, and I remember crying live on the air during my last show at WAIF because I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave. You know, if it was just 100 people, I thought these were 100 lions. And yes, I get to go to where there are more people, but instead of 100 lions, I get to go around 300,000 sheep.
Yep. Oh, dope.
And I cried like a baby on the air. And I remember Zion Daughters, Roots Vibrations, Kaya called me and said, "Don't cry on the air. Hold it together." Shout out, Kaya.
And I was like 2 or 3 years into the show, and then I met Azariah. He gave me this Sony camera, man, and it was like 20 years ahead of the few, and it and stuff. And I remember I went to New York, and Arista Records gave me this thing to go to see Goody Mob when they first premiered.
Yeah.
And I pulled the camera out, and people was like, God damn.
Yeah.
They was like, what the hell is that? So big up to Azzy for giving us that camera.
For sure.
Right.
For sure.
You know, and I used to think Azariah would be mad because I would just take the camera and just run off and stuff.
That's what I wanted you to do. That's what I gave it to you for, man.
I was like, man, this for the city, man. Let me just get this camera, let me just run. And I just filmed everything and everybody with the Freaknik, you know, LA, all these other places, and just film stuff, and and definitely a lot of the local artists and stuff like that, because we never charge people to be on the show, and we never charge people to air stuff. The only time we, you know, like we try to charge people is like, okay, if you want me to, you know, follow you around, film this and edit this, and you want to advertise it on the show and keep me playing, it's like, well, you at least got to give me, you know, $50, $100 and stuff, and that's nothing. And that was just to pay. And that was just to pay for like the tapes, you know, the takes, the camera, because tapes was, you know, it wasn't.
That was expensive.
Like you had to go to Circuit City, man, and stores like that, and they would charge you like
astronomically.
You know, like $30-$40 for like you know, like 2 or 3 tapes.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I'm telling you.
People want you to run around and film, and I'm like, dude, you gotta at least give me something just so I can pay for this. Give me some money for gas and stuff like that. We never charge people to be on the show. So if you wanted to be on the show,
he was on there.
You on the show. You know what I'm saying? We didn't care.
Opportunities like working the boards at 107.9, and then producing radio shows at 107.9, from Coco Brother and the Home Team to different little segments and snippets, and also being responsible for a lot of drops, so that when artists would come down for different shows, it could be anybody's show. When they do a press release with the radio station, then I would record drops for them, and even if it wasn't for the show that I was running, you know, so that kind of edged me in stone in the radio station, that I always made myself available for stuff like that. And then too, one of the things that separated me from other people in doing so is that most people in my position would only take drops for their show, where I would just, any name that was in rotation, anybody that had a show, I would get snippets and snippets from each artist, you know, so just stuff like that, just going a little bit beyond.
The DJ is maybe the most important element to the culture. They keep the party rocking, they break new music, they provide the soundtrack to the streets. So what must you do to be a DJ?
Max. Uncle Max, and I came over to the house one day. He had 4 1200s. He had the 2 he was playing on, 2 on the floor, and I said, "How much you want for them?" He said, $400. My little soul lit up. I said, "Give me 2 weeks, man." So I went out there, did my gigs, and came back and brought his money. He said, "I said, you got my turntable?" He said, "You got my money?" Picked them up, carried them home. Now, if you're familiar with Avondale,
now tell us where you walked them
from Hale Avenue to Reading Road and South Crescent. I think I made maybe 5 stops because I was out of breath, but they never touched the ground.
They never did.
I learned how to scratch from a guy by the name Fred Grant, Boy Flash. He was with MC Twist, the Def Squad. Used to be on Luke's label.
Oh, yeah.
Go back to that. Brought the little dude home with him. I said, "Go ahead, warm up." As soon as he warmed up, my mouth dropped. Mouth dropped. I'd never seen nobody scratch. You see it. You see the New York and stuff like that. He warmed up and AD up. From then we were tight.
Oh yeah.
He just taught me. I didn't know it. That was, you can only learn what you see. I had never really seen nobody scratch. Boy Flash taught me. He did. He showed me. He was like, look, this is what you do. And he showed me it's not all in the hand, it's in the crossfader too.
Really got into DJing. It was something that I could practice on my own. I took the old turntables from my grandmother's house.
Yeah, so that was our question. Like, what was your first rig? So,
well, these weren't really rigs because they had the horns to come down. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it enabled me to hone my craft.
Right.
I spent many a days, many a nights practicing. Getting on my mother's nerves. They eventually they eventually turned into 12s. but starting out, yeah, that's what it was.
Word.
Yeah.
Let's see, I had one technique belt drive with a straight arm.
All right, with the straight arm.
And then I had a Fisher with the S arm. It was direct drive, so I used that to scratch up.
And the other one was
had to put the
mix.
Put the pennies on the needles.
Yeah.
Make the needles gonna jump, dog.
You ain't a DJ unless you know about the pennies on that.
And for some of y'all,
I started in the House of Love at 16, so they paid for me to go to Performing Arts, and I had my 21st birthday.
Hold on, wind it back.
Yeah, say that again.
Yeah, I said I started at Parktown DJing in that little box at the age of 16.
And they did what?
And they paid for me to go to Performing Arts.
So they paid for your education.
Yeah, definitely.
That's dope.
So that's why I mess with Parktown. Like they family. Jimmy Jam, Joe Fender, and Bill. Landa, Junebug, all of them, they was all good to me.
Ladies.
Which is the purpose of why we do this, the mentoring aspect, the connecting the dots between the young and the old. Like somebody saw something in you,
right,
and paid for your education.
Right.
That's dope.
But I prefer to do the crowd thing. I like crowd participation.
That's what's up.
The call and response is a big thing. A lot of DJs are not doing. They've fallen away from that. Get the crowd involved. Make, whether you're in a club or a big joint, make it a house party. Make it personal. Calling out people. Yo, I see such and such. I see such and such.
Busy bee.
Exactly. I see such. And people feel good about that when you shouting their name out on the mic. Just having fun and positive energy. Just having fun. So I like to rock the crowd, and now I'm focused on just the music and have a crowd rocking with me. A kid named Supreme B, living in LA. He's from Cincinnati, but a lot of people.
AKA Eddie Bo.
Eddie Bo.
What up, man? We're coming down there to you too.
So I had a receiver and the turntable because my father's receiver because I'm going to play the records.
Word.
Right.
Yeah.
So I had the receiver, and what I would do is watch anything that had music on to anything. Didn't care if it was country, metal, didn't matter. Anything that had music on, I would sit there with the receiver, and I learned how to scratch on a knob.
The first person to hit it.
I did it too. When I first started scratching, there was like the little old school sets with the receiver, the equalizer, the tape decks, and there's a turntable on top of it. And I used to just scratch on top of that. That's how I started. And when I had the Fisher Price, I had used there's some wires that runs into it, and I had got like a Gemini mixer. I think the one that Jazzy Jeff had way back in the day when he did the album cover. Yeah, I had one of those, and what I did is splice the wires to my Fisher Price record into the mixer, and that's how I was able to scratch on there.
Crazy.
Little ass thing.
I was telling my people, man, DJs are some of the most inventive.
If you familiar with Avondale and Reading Road and South Crescent, Fred Shuttlesworth, right there on that corner across from the Crescent was a green and white church that was abandoned, but for some reason had electricity.
Whoa.
And we would go in there and we would set up the turntables, and me, Skip, and Harold and a couple other local guys would go in there, set up. And this is when first transforming and crab scratching.
All right.
So we would get in there and battle it out.
Yeah.
And you know, and it was my little set of turntables, and everybody was like, "Oh, you got 1200, you got 1200." So back then, I took a turntable, put it on the floor, had one right here, and I had a cane, and I was scratching with the cane.
Oh, you serious? Are you serious? That's the jig. That's
man. I mean, you brought back a memory on that.
Yeah. So inside the church, just catches, go in there and battle it.
And got turned on to actually making loops. So I would take a reel-to-reel machine, take a length of tape, record something onto it, trim it, cut it, and then tape the head to the tail where it would be an actual loop. So it would just play certainly on the tape machine. And if you wanted it to go faster or slower, you drag your finger on the capstan on the motor, or you could spin it up. Right? And so I had a bunch of loops like that. Some of them I had were so fucking long. I had them like around the bedpost, around the lamp, and it'd be like a 6-foot loop. Whoa! And it was like all through this, like the room. I remember my dad coming in and going, "What the heck? Like, what are you up to?" And it wasn't long before he came home and saw me scratching his records, and he was super pissed. But he knew I was on some stupid science shit.
Next level.
It wasn't just I was trying to break his fucking Humble Pie record or fuck up his Beagles collection, right?
That sound like him.
I mean, exactly. And thanks to my pops too.
So we got to the point where he started teaching me tricks on the turntable. Quick mixing. He taught me how to quick mix. We didn't have 1,200 turntables back then. Cincinnati's distribution was slow.
What was your first read?
What
was your first read?
Man, I can't go to
I break it down. You know what I'm saying? It was like it went down like this, man. Everybody know in the house you had that old BSR. You know what I'm saying? We had the old BSRs, and some of them with the old recess arm, the select arm. You know what I'm saying? So we had some of those. We stacked the quarters and the nickels on there with the tape and everything we had to do to keep the needle from jumping. You know what I mean? So we worked with those, and then we stumbled across some equipment from friends, you know, people in the hood. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we weren't fortunate to have all this stuff. So one thing I had to learn how to work that stuff quick because it wasn't mine. I had to borrow stuff. So I only had it for 1 night, 2 nights. So I had to learn it in like 20 minutes so I can do my thing with it. So that's why I became more technical on it. So we had the realistic mixer with the up and down faders. We didn't have no post fade. There was no post fade, right? With the little flip switches for the cue and all this. That's all we had. You know what I'm saying? I took 2 of those, took some plywood, 2 pieces of wood, put 2 on the end, put 2 BSR with it, 4 Joes. It was an old, what you call that, like a, I guess what's the name of that place? We played with 4 Joes. But it was just like a,
We went up to 4 Joes and Evendale, and they had like antique stuff, old stuff. They had these turntables and they was getting
flea market?
Yes.
Like a flea market. Just pretty much flea market. Yeah.
They only cost $1.
It was $1 turntable.
$1 a turntable. Man, we had like 3 and 4 sets up because we knew we was gonna wear them out because we scratching on them all night.
Mind you, man, I'm at
because when you start DJing, you know, it's kind of a singular thing. You know, you got 1 man, 2 decks, and you learn how to mix. Then you learn your sets, and then kind of with the evolution of like the whole scratch multi-turntable thing, it kind of offered an aspect of like creating new music, your own original stuff through that. But at the same time, like you can't always get together with all your boys all the time, and you know, you don't get a lot of gigs back then anyway for 4 dudes. It's more like, you know, this person's having a house party, or you know, this person wants you to drop records for them or something, or you're DJing for like a cypher or something. So really, I embraced them all as much as I could. You know, much in a way that you would like, if you wanted to do something, you want to do it right, and you want to know all aspects of it. You know, just that's the way I kind of was taught, and that's the way you kind of further it. If you know, if you wear many hats, then you know you can get more gigs, I guess, or you know, help more people out or whatever.
And remember the old turntables with the
Right.
They used to hold the 45.
And drop the joint on the platter.
Yeah, right. They had 2 of those and a realistic mixer. And being that my uncle still lived in Woodlawn, they would leave everything at our house in Avondale.
Word.
So I was like, damn, he leaving all this stuff here. I might as well try to make me a tape.
About to touch them.
Right. So it was just like, back then it was like you play a record, the record. It wasn't no bullet. Then you just play one record, play another. So, until he took his stuff back, home and everything, I was just like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna be a DJ.
Feel like you was on punishment.
Right. Not even that. I was just like, okay, when you bring your stuff back out. But I used to go out to their crib on the weekend, so it wasn't really a big deal. But my first set didn't come along until I was like 18. And they were belt drive Geminis.
Word. The BD.
The person that brought me in was JW Sounds, who's no longer here. And,
God bless you there.
Thank you. And I started out with, what can I say, the little 2 box turntables, I want to call them. You go, 75 and 33 and so on, and then a little mixer board. So, dealt with that. Basically him setting up other people and, the other ones, I'm watching DJ and Everett Clark, Lincoln Ware. AJ the DJ. Godmother Lady J, and so on. So these are the ones who really inspired me to come in.
Word.
Samson Zulu.
As Araya Urban Reality right
Coming at you live and direct for people, places, and things.
At Aiken High School.
Right at Aiken High School.
At the time, Fresh was doing a Kings and Queens. Until I was DJing at Kings and Queens.
Yeah, I remember that.
At the time. And then he did this seminar at Bogart's. So I'm on stage. Like I said, Jason was on stage, and he was going on right before me. And we up there, we talking, because we was cool. Like, yo, man, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. I'm like, I ain't telling you shit. Because, I don't want to know what I'm going to do. I'm going for your throat. Because we was cool, what I'm saying? We was friends, what I mean? And we still cool today. So it was like, we getting ready to do our thing, this and this and this and that. And Bad Brother Todd comes up. I don't know, y'all know him?
Taquan DMC.
So he comes on stage, right? And he's doing this performance. And then it was a young lady in the audience, and she was from Zone 15. And it was a lot of Zone 15 folks in the house that I knew. I went to church with a bunch of them, and we was all cool. And he pointed her out, and her dude was a performer too. And he says inappropriate stuff he shouldn't have said. And I'm like, all right, he's nuts. Because everybody out there was Lincoln Heights. Half the people out there was him. So he says this, and like Judy said, she had to just take Fresh, this story about Fresh getting the club store up. This fight blew out. Todd runs and hides. Y'all put him out there. He runs and hides.
The club,
and the club is just destroyed.
Whoa.
And I'm up here, I'm like, well, am I going to get my stuff out of here? Because
he had big speakers and all that, and I'm just like fascinated. I'm like just locked into it. Like what is this sounds coming from this plastic disc? And I was just like, yo, it was like I was just hooked on it. Then, of course, when I got a little older, we were breakdancing, so I was, into that. But I always, was fascinated with the DJ. Like that was just like wow. I mean, that was just my thing. Like I got to learn how to scratch. I remember we would take, and I would have one turntable and the receiver, and using the knob like the car.
Somebody just give us that jewel.
Yeah,
it's like the third person today, but
it's like I didn't even know what about a mix.
And it's funny. I was DJing Aiken High School, and I had JW Sounds equipment. So if you was there in about 1983, I had some stuff. This guy had came up to me and said, hey, I want you to read this flyer. It's a rap concert, the first one ever. So I looked at the guy, I said, okay, I'll do it. And he stood behind me. So I read it. Good DJ, he gonna read it first. So I read it first. I'm like, wow, Houdini, Fat Boys, Curtis Blow, Nucleus, the guys from Breakin' and Shabba-Doo and Boogaloo Shrimp, all them was in the show. I was like, wow. Man, then I started reading it. Live, blah, 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 blah. Everybody was listening. Had some music kicking in my big supersonic seed voice. I'm like, I'm going to this sucker. And when I got done, the guy said, whoa, man. He said, whoa. He said, man, you sent chills up my spine, man. He said, that voice is. He said, what are you doing on that day? I said, nothing that I know of. turned out to be Russell Simmons.
Wow.
Before he became Russell Simmons. But that's who hired me.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's who hired me. And I remember he said, I'm going to give you a call. I gave him my number. And the concert was maybe like 2-3 months away. Never heard from that man. The day before the show, he called me. And I just happened to be in the house because that was pre-cell phone days.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and he said, oh, by the way, you're sharing dressing rooms with Curtis Blow. I'm like, these are the... I was like, oh, hell no. It was just unbelievable, man. And I took a couple people with me, and I told them who I was, and they gave me the star treatment, had the dressing room, and I met Curtis Blow, and they were very nice to me. And about 3 or 4 of the groups was like, hey, you doing the whole tour with us? They actually wanted me to do the whole tour, and I said, I just got hired for this one. They was like, well, we're gonna see what's up. I mean, they really wanted me to do the tour, and I was like, wow, I would have loved to have done the tour, because man.
So were you introducing and bringing out those acts as well, or did you just rock your own?
As a matter of fact, it was a different setup.
All right, yeah.
I was the actual DJ as the people were coming in. So I was DJing and basically throwing the party as they was coming in.
That's dope. That's fresh.
I mean, I always think back to the scribbles.
Yeah.
It was the big thing we would always look forward to every summer.
All right, that's big. Yeah.
For me, it would Scribble, definitely. And then also the Red Bull freestyle.
All right, yeah. So how did you place in that? How did you do that?
Right, so here in Cincinnati, I won first place, and awesome. Then I went to the Nationals in Denver, and I didn't do so. I mean, I did okay, but I think I was overthinking it, and I probably would have did better if I just did my set that I did here and not even try to change it up.
I would go up there. They played back and forth on. Grubbs had some 12s eventually. When Grubbs got his 12s, he kicked me down some belt-driven joints that he had. He belt drives, and I had 2 of them, and then I had a mixer that was bleeding, but by the end of it, I was killing both of them. Because once I had my own stuff, like I said, I went hard.
So you mastered the jig on the BDs.
Hell yeah! It was so dope on those. I refused to go. I couldn't go to 1200s. Oh, you serious? I couldn't. I was like, I don't like the way this feels. Oh, wow. Because I've got these is mine. With the wheel, not with the. So it had the wheel. I was dialing in like boom, boom, boom. I'm wheel picks.
I was killing it. Back to something. What I got first, which was part of my main rig, which was still ended up to my first good rig, was the realistic mixer from Radio Shack. Yes. The 4-channel jam. Could you get with that crossfader? Man, I learned how to do everything on that joint, and it had the dumb little ass whatever crossfader knob they had. It was so much more. It was. I know exactly what you're talking about. But I kept that mixer.
It was even smaller than this.
Yeah, it was smaller than that. Yo, it was like stupid annoying. And I had mismatched turntables forever. My boy looked in the back of the Source and ended up going what was that joint in New York? Whatever, they had a spot in New York you could buy a package deal. He ends up getting the BD10s, the Gemini BD10s, belt-driven joints. And then I mastered that joint, and we was rocking those forever. And I remember the first routine was this Run DMC routine that we did. That was the intro for Down with the King. And it was like the 3 Run DMC. It was all my records, technically. He had records too, but I always had more records because I was always buying records. So it was just, like he said, like, do I get the equipment or the records? Because if I chase the equipment, I'm going to lose the records.
Right. Definitely.
Because it's only there for a short amount of time. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to keep putting the shit out. Like, the equipment always going to be there. Like, so you just always chase the records. Like, yeah, you always got to chase the records.
That's a dream. For me, realistic mixer and Technique belt driven that I bought from Jordan.
Steve hooked you up. I know exactly who sold this shit to you. My man Steve, wherever you at, man. Every DJ that has ever split the record, we love you. And if they don't, that's on them. I'm letting you know, man. You held me down. You
Dance, the natural organic expression to the culture. As the African proverb goes, if you can run, you can dance. Cincinnati had several dance innovators that went on to affect and impact the culture worldwide. So let the poppers pop, then the breakers break.
Where all we at, yo?
So right here, we looking at hollow grill. This is where it all began. This is USA Skates.
That later became Golden Skates.
Indeed. And so this is where the legendary DJ Gup kept it spinning on ones and twos. Controlled that whole skating rink, broke it up to a dance floor like late into the evening.
Halloween, whatever. We never did that before.
Yeah.
So the first dance that we had here in Forest Park, I went and then it's a dance, we're doing everything, and I forgot what song came on, but it moved me, I got it, and I started dancing.
Right.
And the next thing I know, they done turned on the lights. There's a circle, everybody was around me, and I kept hearing, well, what is he doing, man? I didn't see that before. You know, I heard all kind of different comments and responses, yeah. So I was like, what? I ain't never seen this before? And I was never, I ain't gonna say show off or nothing like that, but you know, when it seems like you're the first for doing something, you do a little, you know, a little hold. Yeah. So then everybody, like, was attracted to the dance, and then people would come up telling me to teach them how to do it. So me, my father was in the military, so before we came here, he always wanted us, you know, to strive and see everything that we do. Exactly. So I was like, okay, this is an opportunity. They've never seen this before. Yeah. I'm going to put a group together. Yeah. So I started secretly having auditions, you know, as opposed to the people that was wanting me to teach them. Right.
They thought they was hanging out.
Exactly. I was really, exactly. Get my crew together. There you go. And that's exactly what I did. It was myself, the original Skywalkers, was myself, a guy named Marvin Columbus, Derek Williams, Gary Young, Edgar Watson, Daryl Irving, Daryl Thomas, Flo, which was out of New York, and Chino, which was Breakers. Now when breaking came out, they was used to the pop. When I brought my two brothers from New York down here, it was all over.
So my man, Shane Sparks, people don't know, this brother, like I say, when he left, him, Chris Tyler, shout out to T-Rob, and some other cats. It was another singer group. The one cat, and y'all, whoever he is, he was in, I think he was in Murder Rock. They was singing, and when they left, they took, I think it was correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was a dude from Murder Rock, and then Chris and Shane and them, they formed Cold Premier. All right. So they went to LA as Cold Premier. They did Natalie Cole Big Break when they first got there. And then their first gig was the Kid and Play movie Class Act.
Man, All City Rockers was right here in Forest Park. Yeah, God bless the dead G Ghost, Tracy Shumpert, Skeeter, Tracy, Alicia, Stacy, you know, Maurice. We was right here. You know what I'm saying? Right here is where we practiced. We practiced to go break dance at Golden Skates. Is what it was before USA. I think it was. And then win that competition. And then we competed in Eden Park competition. You know, Channel 9 covered it. I've been digging on the internet trying to find anything about them days. You can't find.
Some group used to give us trouble. Murder Rock. Man, Dez, my brothers. Like I say, these my brothers. Like Dez and Marlon.
just them two alone. Oh man, used to give us problems, man. Like the niggas, they was skinny, so everything looked so fluid with them. Like I was like, oh my god. And they get to flipping. I said, these niggas are problems. Like a lot of the other groups, I was like, man, we got them. When Murder Rock used to come, I was like, god damn. And then
the A game.
Oh my goodness, every time, man.
Where a lot of those take place at?
Oh man, Gold Skates.
Gold Skates.
Matter of fact, speaking of Gold States, Terrence Kershaw, best dancer I've ever seen.
What up, T?
You know what I'm saying? Used
wherever
to rock.
you at, whatever you do.
Whatever
we
you
still
doing,
talking
man.
about your ass.
Yeah, man.
What crew did you rock out of?
Him and my cousin Pee Wee was a group, but Terrence was so cold. He was like,
everybody.
Yeah, he was like, I don't even want to be in the group. We used to call him the one man dance.
He was with everybody.
Yeah, like he influenced me on a lot of levels, like on the dancing and just the style, like, because he was hustling back then. We young boys, like, you might saw a little joint or two, but
I did say this on the documentary. The reason why we created Murder Rock, basically like after breaking and all that, is because I saw Cold Crush at a Mount Healthy talent show.
Word, that's
and he was in it. Yeah. And all the girls were screaming. And I said, "That's what we gonna do."
Like I say, the culture shifted. It went from breaking to just dancing, street dancing. That's what it was, street dance. We could just call it that, street dance.
Right.
And
right now, where we at?
Right now, we are at the home of the Princeton Vikings.
Yeah,
Princeton High School.
So we were on tour, but I did Beat Street, Body Rock, stuff like that. Yeah. But if we would have stayed in the States, I could have probably auditioned for all that stuff. So we missed a lot of the big stuff, that came out. But at the same time, we were touring the world. I mean, dancing was so big back in the days that we had our own tours. We bought the DJs, we bought the rappers. You know what I'm saying? But they came to see us dance. To this day now, in Asia and in Europe, it's just like New York was back in the day when we first started. And the elevation to where hip hop has gone, dancing wise, has always elevated. And we're happy.
Like the Rocksteady crew, the legendary Rocksteady crew was right here.
Right here,
bro.
This is real.
You know what I'm saying? So that's how we fell in love with hip hop, because the big homies was already
doing their thing.
Word.
Yeah, so definitely. But I'm gonna ask you this: was there ever a kind of how can I say, kind of did y'all ever have a rift in the group where it was one part of Cold Crush against another?
Yeah, we just talked.
You did? Because this is, I'm gonna tell y'all why I said it, why I know this.
That was the biggest thing.
Because we was battling Shane, Chris.
Right.
But Freddie and Mike was rooting for us when we battled.
And they were members of.
Yeah, they were members, and it kind of confused me for a second, like.
Because like I say, we like right after the right after Mount Healthy talent show, we went our separate ways. Then I was telling them, like, Shane and Chris was dancing over here, and people was like, "Oh, y'all heard y'all was out." I was like, "No, we wasn't over there." You know what I'm saying? So then, like I say, the little beef started. Like then me and Fred battling Chris and Shane. That went on for a couple years.
So how did that go down? What was the outcome, if you want to say it?
No, one battle we were down at Aiken, and I was gonna battle Shane 101, and he's like, "Oh, you don't want none of me?" And we was about to go, but then we went to show. I couldn't remember the show. I think it was Joe's. So it was me. It was just me and Fred, and then it was Chris, Shane, and DJ. And they won that one. They won that one downtown, because it was like, man, like, I don't got nothing. It was all of they people. Because it was like a suburb thing.
Right.
Like, I don't know if it was like cat. It was a white club. Oh, yeah. You know what I'm saying? It was a white club. So we coming in on the outside, and they're like, "Who is y'all?" Because their fan base was who they've been performing to.
You know what I'm saying? We on the girls, so they banned us from Cincinnati public schools. You feel me? Because we'd get done dance, we take our shirts off, we throw our shorts down. Like, we was acting a damn fool. But at the time, we were so on one. We was on one. Like, man, listen, man. Because in my mind, even back then, I'm like when the bomb show used to be 2 days, I'm like, hey, I say, man, they making a killing off of us. And I start feeling away like, yeah, we want y'all to go last, we want y'all. So that's making me know. Yeah, like, come on, man. But then you trying to restrict, and I'm like, come on, man. So we just, I remember, I never forget at Withrow, we get on it like they was trying to cut the time and all that. So when they cut the music off, I don't play that shit.
Right, you know
what I'm saying? I don't play that shit. Like, you could have faded it or something. They just cut the shit off. So we come about our shirts and shit, throw our shorts down. We lay on the stage for a while. You feel me? Like, we tripping. We tripping. In hindsight, we was tripping, but you know what I'm saying? Like, we tripping.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
But next year come around, they done banned us from all Cincinnati public school talent shows. Yeah. So after that, it was like, it was a few little spots to dance, but you know, at that time, you take a group out the bomb and all of that, it's kind of old.
Right.
Hey, Doc Chills in the building. I wanna know how y'all feeling. This is for my old school homies out there. I wanna let y'all know about my old stomping grounds. Feel free to shout out yours. Meet us at our stomping grounds, our stomping grounds. Meet us at our stomping grounds, our stomping grounds. Tell me where's your stomping grounds, your stomping grounds. Tell me where's your stomping grounds, your stomping grounds. Meet us at our stomping grounds, our stomping grounds. Meet us at our stomping grounds, our stomping grounds. Tell me where's your stomping grounds, your stomping grounds. Tell me where's your stomping grounds, your stomping grounds. Now I'm feeling real tight and I need to get loose. I need a packet of green, so I headed up the shoot to shouldn't me a freak, but I got what I need. Got a text from a homie, said meet him up at Vito's. Stop and reminisce about the times we spent at Brandy. Debating this skippers hell the better eye candy. Stopped at chili time, put something in my belly, couldn't help it. Parking lot, pimping up at Mr. Kelly's. A fifth of Thunderbird, a 40 amount liquor. At the time I was young, so I drank much bigger. Doing shows at Bogarts, coming off so hard. Daniel saved LL, frontin' as his bodyguard. I thank Cincinnati, cause they let me do my thing. Total access to the bar, I was only 15. Had to stump a few clowns when I'm up and throwing down. But nobody got murder hanging at my stomping grounds. Meet us at our stomping grounds, our stomping grounds. Meet us at our stomping grounds, our stomping grounds. Tell me where's your stomping grounds, your stomping grounds. Tell me where's your stomping grounds, your stomping grounds. Meet us at our stomping grounds, our stomping grounds. Meet us at our stomping grounds, our stomping grounds. Tell me where's your stomping grounds, your stomping grounds. Tell me where's your stomping grounds, your stomping grounds. Now the love we got, these haters wouldn't like it. That didn't stop the crew from turning out the Vikings. You invited to Bun Hill, but homie, let me warn you, plenty of spots to drink at up on California. Starting from Sonny's, it was hard to leave. Stagger across the street, ended up at Mr. D's. Mother's Laundromat is where the homies parlay. Over for a pitcher of beer at the cafe. Bustin' rhymes in the park, going hard till after dark. Getting chased by 5-0, Heath and Lark. Bring your piece to Bun Hill and we treat them right. This is the type of neighborhood that I know they like. The renegades and wild boys is like a stick of dynamite. So don't front